You've got the closing bell sounding on this Thursday, July 9th.
Let's take a look at the action here in the equity markets. As the market settles, you see really almost no change at all in the Dow there. Of course, the prices will move around a little bit, but 81.78.5 seems to be the closing level, 81.78. The S&P gaining at the end of the day, up 1/3%. The banks, Goldman Sachs, really helping to boost the indexes after the upgrade for Goldman, 882, the closing level there. And the Nasdaq also gaining about 1/3% to finish at 1752.5. All right, let's go down to the New York Stock Exchange right now. U.S. stocks were all over the place today. Volume was fairly light. Chris Valerio, though, the entire time has been standing by the New York Stock Exchange, covering it for us, and she's ready to break down the news. Chris?
Some action at the end. They're running down the stairs to get here, Matt. Let me tell you. All right, let's get started here. Dow Jones Industrial Average closing a little change. Look, we've been that way pretty much the whole day. Very, very light volume. I mean, we are well below, at least 2 billion shares below what we had for total NYSE composite volume yesterday. Worth noting, of course, that reverse split that we saw on those triple long, triple short financial ETFs certainly could play a part of the action there. Speaking of financial stocks, a few of which I have to mention. One, the big one, that is Bank of America making a call on Goldman Sachs, telling Goldman Sachs, putting the stock towards a buy, specifically saying that its trading revenue could hit another record. Now, remember, when we went through these earnings reports, through these financial stocks previously, it was that trading revenue that helped a bunch of them. Of course, Goldman reports next week, and that's an area we'll continue to watch. And certainly we're going to see how these banks react throughout this earnings period. Now, earnings, by the way, a large part of today's picture. You take a look at Alcoa. We had kickoff earnings reports yesterday. Today, coming into this session, at this point, we have 5% of S&P companies that have so far reported earnings. They're down on average about 25%. That's well below the 34%, but as you know, we have a really long way to go here.
We do have a long way to go. Hey, Chris, when we think about earnings, of course, we also think about the health of the U.S. consumer and economy. We did get some data points on that front as well today.
We did. We got some data points. I mean, the big one, of course, the jobless claims. They're weekly claims, but certainly showing a little bit of enthusiasm. Those jobless claims coming in better than expected with a gain. Those initial jobless claims didn't come in as high as they would have expected, but certainly we're watching. The other thing is, though, we saw the retail sales numbers come out, and those retail sales numbers showed that, you know what, consumers are going to those bargains, but they're not necessarily shopping.